at a big tech company, right? Like Google, Amazon, Walmart, and all. So to just a second. Yeah. So to land your dream job, as you all know, how much knowledge of data structure and algorithms is necessary to make it through the tech interviews. So today we have a great mentor, Ankur Keshwani here. So he's a software engineer at Walmart and a mentor at Career Board. So he's going to share the effective way of learning data structures to ace the interviews. So and also stay tuned for the end, like to get the resources that what Ankur himself has referred to make it to the Walmart. Yeah, over to you, Ankur. Yeah.
Yeah, hello guys. It's really good to have you all here. A lot of people have joined and looking forward to making it an interactive session. Everybody these days aspires to be in a top product company, be it someone working in a service company or in another product company who is trying to switch into a farm company, or students like you, because in the college we have a lot of resources but we do not have sometimes the correct guidance, right? Even myself, I passed out from a tier 3 college, so I knew a lot of things, but I did not know the correct path to reach a destination. So that's why it took me maybe an around an year for me to figure out things after passing out, although I was earlier in a product company itself. But yeah, to make it to Walmart I had to burn some midnight oil and practice around the question, the set of question that is actually required to switch to a product company. So this is in regards to that. It is not limited to just DSA. I'll be telling you about a little bit brief about other computer fundamental subjects like C and computer networks, DBMS, OS, OOPS. So we'll have a little around that also, like an overall high level picture of what you actually need to prepare for a product company, for the interviews of a product company. So I'll just share my screen and present my slide that I've prepared for you all. Just give me a moment and please let me know if it's visible now. Can you all see the slide now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So the first thing first, DSA seems to be the most important thing while starting to prepare for a product company like Google, Microsoft, Walmart. So the first slide itself says, can DSA help you get into a product-based company like Google, Microsoft, Walmart? Yes. I mean, a short answer would be yes. But is it the only thing that can get you into a product company? The answer would be a no. So even for DSA, I see a lot of people do a lot of practice. Like there are various platforms and various awareness also among students where to prepare it from, where to practice, like the platforms like Geeks for Geeks, Interview Bit, Lead Code. But even after solving a couple of like hundreds of questions, like I've seen people on LinkedIn, they have solved some 400, 500, 600 question. But when it comes to the interview of any tech giant like Microsoft or Google, this doesn't seem to be enough. I mean, the numbers they have done is too much. I mean, 400, 500, 600, they are big numbers in terms of DSA. Like doing this much of question would definitely make you stand at a great point to ace your technical interview. But even after this much of practice, I see people struggle with the technical interview. So is it that their preparation is somewhere going wrong, or what is that bothering him or her to not ace their technical interviews? So we'll discuss the step-by-step approach how to approach DSA, and just to let you know that doing a certain number of DSA question is not the key to ace any technical interview. I'll tell you an example. I was passed out. I mean, although my college was a good college, we had good placements. But when I was in third year or fourth year and placements were going on, friends of mine who were in NIT or IIT, they did not practice whole year DSA, but before placement they did for 2 3 months, and they aced their technical interview, be it Amazon, be it Microsoft. And in my college, people prepared for an year, a 2 year, burned their midnight oil, participated in code chef, code forces, and whatnot. Even sacrificed their CGPA for participating in contests and practicing competitive programming. So the thing I used to wonder about was a student A from my college who has worked years for the same thing, and student B from some NIT or IIT who has prepared just for 2 or 3 months. How can they both stand at the same company after their college? So there must be something, right? That they are able to do it in 3 months, and my college student has done it in like 1, 2, or 3 years by practicing a lot. I have seen people practicing a lot on Code Chef, Code Forces, Hacker Rank, and whatnot. So, so if DSA is the only thing, so what differentiate between these two people having different colleges and different approaches to solving DSA problems? So when it comes to DSA, like you are in college, you are in different colleges, right? In terms of resources, there are a lot of resources. I mean, somebody who is rigorously trying to um, look for resources and trying to rigorously trying himself or herself to prepare for these technical interviews definitely will find the plethora of resources and study materials in terms of understanding DSA and stuff, right? But the thing is, not everybody is as curious as others, right? So to give you a set of questions, even that is present on the internet, but people do not know where to begin, when to stop. I mean, although they have done 500, 600 questions, but they do not have a approach how to approach the problem, what learning to take from the problem, and how to exactly explain that in the interview. Because at the end, no matter how much preparation or how much questions you practice, if you do not perform well in your interview, that hard work is gone in vain. So we will know where to begin with the DSA problems and when to stop, when to say that I am actually at a good level that I can ace or at least perform in a product company's interview with flying. I mean, I can pass that interview. Okay. So what all platform you can practice on those DSA questions? How many questions to solve? That is a very subjective question to ask. I mean, for student A, it could be 250 question, for example, and student B, it could be 300, whereas student C only requires 100 questions to solve to reach that same level. So it depends on the understanding and definitely will differ from student A to student B to student C. So never compare yourself with any other student that he has done 500, I will do 550 and then I'll be better than him. So that is not that is not the case at all. Okay. So please understand this, that numbers not matter that much. Quality is way better than quantity. So is DSA the only requirement for getting a job in top PVCs? PVCs here means product based company, to tell you all. So the answer to this question would be a big no. DSA is not the only thing. I mean, it is the key factor in acing any technical interview, no doubt about that. But it is not the only thing to ace your technical interview. There is a couple of bunch of things more for at least in terms of beginners or people in third year who are trying for internship and stuff. So it is not the only thing. It is a crucial thing to ace a technical interview, but it is not the only thing I would say. So yeah, so people who think I have done 600 DSA questions, now I am god of DSA, I can ace any technical interview. But when they go to interview for let's say early age startup, then they realize that they have made a blunder and there are much more things to do apart from DSA that is required in software engineering, actually in daily practices what you'll be doing. So I want every student to understand that DSA is your hurdle to enter any company. Once you master DSA, you are more likely to enter the industry and enter the product company, to join a product company, to enter the industry in any company. But once you get inside that company, you will make use of that DSA knowledge, but will be working either on front end or back end or machine learning projects or um, some frameworks like that, right? So that's why the next point is, what about if DSA is that important, then what about front end, back end development, open source, ML and data science, right? Because in college as a student, it's a very good habit to be very curious during college, right? Not just in college, but in your job journey also. Like you have to be curious and you have to be learning throughout your life, at least in software engineering, I would say. So if DSA is such a crucial thing to prepare for interviews, then why in my college people are working on front end, back end development, open source, ML and data science, right? This question everybody would be having, and you might have seen your fellow batchmates doing all of this. So we'll see why that is important and what's the use of it actually. So we'll cover all of those questions. So before deep diving into DSA and how to prepare for your DSA interviews, there are a few things that I would need to clarify, or I would want you to know, that what is the importance of what all things. So the question that I said you before, that if DSA is of such importance, then why are my fellow batchmates or friends involved in these different topics like front end development, back end development, open source initiatives, data science? So front end development is as you know, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React.js. People that are inclined towards front-end development using React.js or JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Back-end development, these are various frameworks: Java, Spring Boot, Python, Django, Flask. This is basically used to make API. Whenever you do something on the front end, you make a API call to the backend to get you fetch you some data. Okay, and there are these things like open source initiatives. So you a lot of people or the students, a lot of you might have heard about Google Summer of Code, right? Now it's an internship kind of program where you uh, contribute to an open source project. So contributing into some open source projects are actually pretty big projects. Okay, so these are different programs: Google Summer of Code, Outreachy, Kharagpur Winter of Code, NJAC Winter of Code by IIT Patna. So these are different programs, although these KWOC and NJAC Winter of Code are on a lighter level, like on college levels, like inter college competitions kind of, or initiatives to make people aware about open source initiatives. But my point is that DSA is such important. Then what's the actual use of front end, back end, open source, and data science? A lot of people in the college definitely would be making projects on machine learning. At least one project every student would have made in college. I myself had made using learning Python and making machine learning projects like that. Okay. So the thing is, DSA, like I already said, is crucial. But when you are in third year, placements come, or even for off-campus placements, when you interview for any company, if that is a generic profile, let's say it's a multinational company, MNC, and it has came for the post of a software engineer. It depends what is the profile of the post that the company is hiring for, and what is the company, like it's a MNC, it's a early startup, or well established company. Like MNCs like NCR or Walmart would come into MNCs, right? And startups like Razorpay, Swiggy, Flipkart, companies like these, Misho, and companies like this would be called as startups, but they are well established startups, like funded startups. Okay, so there is a bit of difference between the hiring pattern of both of these, like MNCs and the startups. So let's say MNC came into your college for a generic software profile. So for example, let's say Amazon came into your college. So what this Amazon company tests you on is problem solving, because they are ready to invest in your learning. And the thing that they want to test in you is basically, as a fresher, is basically how are your problem solving technique, and how good of a coder are you. And to judge you on the basis of your coding ability, they test you on data structures and algorithms like arrays, linked lists, strings, graph, DP, like that. So companies like Google, Amazon, Walmart basically test you until, at least this is for specifically for freshers. Like when you go for a higher level role, like experience of 2 years, 3 years for SDE2, then you might get asked system design and your profile specific role. Like if you are getting hired for a backend developer in, and the tech stack that company uses is Java, Spring Boot. So there might be definitely questions around Java and Spring Boot, that the internal functioning of some component, and what all concepts are there, like what is dependency injection, inversion of control, and questions around that. But as a fresher, the least that the company expect from student is that they should be good in data structures and algorithms. It's okay to have like this experience in front end, back end, open source, and data science, or any other stuff in college that you actually like. But mm, it is not at all bad. Like being curious is one of the best thing that you can do in a college or even in company. But that doesn't mean that you will be leaving DSA. DSA is still the most crucial thing in an interview. So yeah, so the differentiation between an MNC and a startup would be like MNC came like Amazon. So how they test is they test you on your DSA skill. They will let's say they will give you an online assessment. So this is the how the interview process of a company goes like for a fresher in MNC. This is typically the main practice of rounds of the interviews. Like you will have the online assessment that is called OA in short. So there you would be having some 2 to 3 coding questions and some 10 to 15 MCQs. That would be from the computer fundamental subjects like operating system, DBMS, OOPS concept, like that. Then you would be having code snippets and you would be telling the output for the same. So this is how the uh, coding OA round, online assessment round for a company like Amazon goes like. So this is how they test. Now, once you clear the OA, to clear the OA, you yourself need a very good hands-on practice with this data structure and algorithm. And people who are doing competitive programming or not exactly competitive programming, but who are practicing on lead code as well, they are doing well in these OAs. So that becomes, because if you do not know enough of, you do not have enough of hands-on practice with these coding or DSA, hands-on practice with DSA on code chef or code forces, then how are you going to clear that OA? Even if you have an ample amount of knowledge, where are you going to impart that knowledge if you cannot clear that OA? So that's why it becomes very crucial to clear that online assessment. Once you clear that online assessment, you would be having probably 4 rounds, in which 2 of the rounds would be technical round, like technical one, technical two. Then there could be managerial round, and then there would be hiring and this HR round. So typically, this is what, in case like your performance not was not up to the mark in technical one or technical two. In that case, there might be a technical three also, but that is very rare. Okay, so usually we have two technical and then managerial round and then the HR round. So this is how the typical interview process of any company goes like. Yeah, so this was for an MNC. Now you see how important what DSA was. Like for an MNC, they definitely are going to test you on DSA as well as your computer fundamental knowledge, like subjects you have studied in your college, operating system, computer networks, OOPS concept, in-depth OOPS concept. Like they would make you write code on paper. For DSA, like till the time it was online or this offline interview, like in-person interview, they used to make people write on paper the coding question. Let's say they give you an coding question and the solution you have to write it on, not on a text editor, rather on a pen, and they'll give you pen and paper and you have to write it there. So this was about Amazon or some MNC's interview process. But these things come handy once you are interviewing for an early age startup or any kind of startup. Let's say Razorpay. Razorpay is a startup. It's a well-funded unicorn startup. So let's say Razorpay came into your campus, or you have off-campus applied for a company like Razorpay, which is a startup, and they are hiring for a front-end developer role. So in that case, because that is a startup, they are not that much willing to invest in your skills. Rather, they want somebody who already has great skills in front end development. Let's say you have student A who is a 6-star coder on CodeChef in DSA. Okay. Now you have student B who is a 3-star coder and has decent knowledge on DSA, but he has made couple of like 2, 3 great projects in front end using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React.js. So in that case, they are definitely going to prefer that front end developer student B, because As soon as that individual or student is hired, they know that they won't be requiring much to train that student. Rather, he already has great project experience in front end development, and he would be a great fit for this front end developer profile. And he can start to work just after a month or a week of joining. He might start up to take the work and start contributing in the team. Rather, uh, student A who has great knowledge in data structures, but he is not very comfortable with front end development. So that's where the difference became, like the difference in the hiring process of an MNC and startup. So this is where, so that's why I'm saying these all things are very good to know. But yeah, making sure that you have a decent amount of DSA knowledge as well is definitely going to pay you. Like these are kind of bonus points that you have. Like I would definitely recommend everyone to practice things on their own liking, in based on their own liking. For example, somebody has interest in front end, somebody in back end, somebody has uh, targeted for clearing this Google Summer of Code, and it has a great pay also. By the way, it is a 3 months process, like 3 months internship, or you say virtual internship at least, and you get a pay of some in two parts 75,000 each, so 1.5 lakh is the pay. You get to meet some great people who are working in the industry. You get mentored by project moderators or coordinators. So that is a very rich experience in terms of development. Okay, and somebody has experience in data science and they are doing something very significant in data science. So these are knowledge based on your preference and liking will definitely come handy. But yeah, you cannot deny the importance of DNC, even if you are doing all of this. These are like bonus points for you. Okay. So how is it? Is it? Are you guys able to understand till here? Are you guys feeling well?
Guys, just drop a thumbs up or something on chat box so that we can move to the next topic.
Yeah. Any specific questions or any doubts till now? All right. All right. We'll now begin with the DSA preparation for what we actually have joined the session.
Yeah.
Does the language for solving DSA questions matter? No. No, it does not matter, Shahid. You can do any language based on your preference. All they are looking for, they're looking for basically problem solvers. You solve in Python, you solve in JavaScript, you solve in C++, you solve in Java. In the end, you need to provide them a solution. That's all they are looking for. Okay, so where were we? Yeah. So DSA, that is the most sought after topic for any tech interview. Like there has been a lot of hype these days doing DSA or doing open source. There is a conflict between. So do not get into any fights. Do what all you like. And yeah, one thing more before beginning with this DSA thing, based on your interest, like somebody might like DSA a lot and keep practicing on different platforms. Somebody enjoys front end more. Somebody enjoys back end more. Experience everything, try and test everything, but in the end, towards the end of your college, like third year, fourth year, be the master of at least one thing, be it DSA, be it front end, be it back end, be it machine learning, be it data science. Master at least one thing. Okay, so that if any company visits you for that particular profile, you should be the top candidate for that profile to get hired. Okay, explore everything, test everything, but yeah, do not try to do parallelly five different things. You are into Android, you are into iOS, you are into DSA. I mean, try it out, do one thing at a time, but be the master of at least one thing, be it DSA, be it front end, back end, machine learning, anything of your choice. But be the master towards the end of your college or third year or fourth year before placements try to do it. Be the master of at least one thing, one topic. That is definitely going to help you with your job hunting or placements as well. Yeah, so now let's begin. So DSA, data structure and algorithms. you are all college students. You already have heard a lot about DSA. You have all the resources, Geeks for Geeks, Interview Bit, Lead Code, so many questions, so many tutorials and whatnot. Everything is present on the YouTube, online, everything, right? Even after that, even after solving a lot of questions, what is the reason people are not able to ace the interview of a tech giant like Google, Microsoft, or Walmart, or any companies like this, right? They have practiced, but maybe they do not know the correct set of questions to be practiced. Like let's say you practice 600 questions, but those 600 questions they are very unlikely to get asked, or they are not teaching you the core concept that is hiding behind the questions. So reason could be n number of. Okay, so let's see how to actually prepare for data structure and algorithm and get your path on a correct way, even if you are not on the correct path as of now. So the step one, I suppose, is start with basics. Like if you directly jump on graph or DP without knowing or without having enough of practice of the relatively easier topics like array, string, list, recursion, stacks, binary tree, you are definitely going to be feeling demotivated after a couple of weeks, or I am doubtful even if you last that week also. And that is very natural. If I haven't done this basic topics and directly jump, if you haven't done recursion, you directly jump onto backtracking or graph or DP, it is very obvious to get demotivated very soon. So that's why begin with relatively easier topics like arrays, strings, linked lists, recursion, stacks, queues, and binary tree. And there are, I haven't listed all of them, but you get my point, right? You have to buy and buy, keep practicing, moving to different topics. And whenever you are practicing, do it topic wise. For example, you started your placement preparation from today. Do not try to do two questions from every topic. Take arrays today, give it some days, like solve 15-20 questions, quality questions on array topics. Understand the concept behind the question. When you get comfortable with the topics, then only move to some next topic like strings or linked list or whatever topics you are looking forward to. So the point is, get choose a topic, solve questions, get comfortable with it, develop an intuition so that a similar question or a duplicate question, because in the interview the questions are not going to be the same, but the concepts behind that question are going to be the same. There might be a revolution of that of that concept, and it might get asked in different ways. So you have to, once you see the question, you can then figure out that okay, I had solved something of this similar kind, and I think I can do it with this question as well in the interview. So for all the above topics, solve at least 15 to 20 quality questions. We'll see how to distinguish between what are quality questions and what are not quality questions. How do we even identify? Because if you start solving on lead code, if you choose the tag array, choose let's say easy questions on lead code itself in the array topic, even then you will be finding some 100, 200, 300 questions just on arrays, easy tags, right? Questions. So to pick up 20 question or 30 questions from there is a tedious task. I mean, how to even choose those questions? You have no clue, right? So we'll discuss that also, what to choose, what not to choose, what to practice, what not to practice. That's why I said quantity doesn't matter, quality definitely matters. Okay. So yeah, so 15-20 question. Also do not stick to this 15-20 quality question. It might 15-20 could be sufficient for student A, but even that 15-20 could be a struggling one for student B, based on how much you have solved previously, how much topic knowledge you have already. So do not get bounded by this number that you have to solve. Ankur sir has said only 15 to 20. I will do only 20, not 21. So do not be opinionated about this at least. Okay, that you have to solve only 20 questions. You have to solve till you are comfortable with the topic. Okay. Now let's see how to choose quality question and the approach to solve them. Okay. So if you are active on social media like LinkedIn, YouTube, you're following certain YouTubers, You might have seen this SDE sheets like Striver's SDE sheet or Love Bubba's SDE sheet. I have seen those sheets. So those sheets have curated most asked question in the interviews, right? Lead code has 2000 plus question on all the topics. You cannot solve 2000 plus question. It will take an year or two. But that is not the goal currently is to get based with solving a bare minimum of the questions, solving a more rich quality content or more quality questions rather than solving a 600 number of questions. Okay. So the current, if you are preparing for placement, you definitely are having a shorter time to prepare for the interviews and for the placements. Placement might have already started, or you already have gone through the placement. You are in fourth year. You have passed out in 2022. Okay, so you do not have to everything. So this filter of SDE sheet is a good filter. Like you already have curated questions that are mostly asked in the interviews. So instead of doing plethora of questions, you can definitely try to pick questions from these SDE sheet. This is recommended. I mean, a few days back, I even saw an Amazon recruiter recommending this Strivers SDE sheet. So you know how effective that is. Okay. So people are doing actually great work in terms of community, spreading these sheets and notes and a lot of resources in terms of coding interview. So that is a good thing that you are in a good era. Like I was in the college, there wasn't that much of awareness. So you can make use of these sheets, those resources, how to solve the questions. So next we'll see how to solve the question. Let's say you have the SDE sheet and the SDE sheet has topic wise question. I have seen the SDE sheet. So let's say you have started to solve question on the topic of array. You picked up a topic, let's say array, and you have started solving the array. You saw a question that was an easy question. You solved the question in 15 minutes and you moved on to the next question on the arrays. But this is not the right approach. It's very good that you solved the question. Very good. Great. Now what you have to do is look for multiple ways. This is your brain. This is your understanding of the question. You did in way one. This is your way of solving the question. Now, if you have been, if you guys have been practicing on lead code lately, so you might have seen the discussion section of lead code. And if you have seen the discussion section of lead code, there would be answers to all these questions that is there on lead code. You have to go to that discussion section, look at the most voted answer. There some great coders are there posting their questions, and you have to look for the most voted answer for that most voted solution for that particular question. What you're trying to do with this approach is that you know way one of solving some X problem. Now when you look at other solution, basically one or two solution, when you look for who that are most voted by the community, you get a new perspective. Okay, this was way one, but it can be solved in way two and way three, and this way two and way three are more optimized solution than mine. It has reduced the space and time complexity. So I think next time when I encounter such a problem, I should be making use of this way two and way three. So this is where the learning begins, because you know when you solve it with way one, you are not increasing your knowledge. You have some existing knowledge which you apply to the question, you solve it. But when you look at the way two and way three, now you are looking at others' perspective of looking at the solution. And by looking at the solution, you now know three different ways of solving one single question. So this is how you make use of the discussion section. It is a gold mine for coders. I mean, if you're solving DSA, definitely it is very recommended to have a look at the discussion section and definitely make good use of it. Now, you solve the question and you looked at the discussion section also. Every time you solve any question, be it any platform, lead code, interview bit, or gigs for gigs, you have to analyze the space and time complexity of your solution. This is very important. Even in a technical interview, while you solve a question, you have to tell the space and time complexity of the solution. And there would be definitely cases when the interviewer wants you to optimize the code. For example, you solved a question that is being solved in a time complexity of n log n, and there is a better approach of solving that particular problem. So the interviewer might ask you, can you optimize this particular solution? Your solution is good, acceptable, but can you further optimize this solution and decrease its time complexity? In that case, that is very important to know the space and time complexity of your solution and different ways of reducing them and the space and the time complexity of the solution, because solving something in n log n definitely is a higher time complexity, right? If you can solve that particular problem in a big O of, let's say, log n or big O of n, so that is a very optimized and a very good solution to be applied to any problem. So this is what they are looking for. They are looking for a problem solver, and a problem solver should keep on optimizing on things that he is working on. He should not be restricted to, because let's say you got a question A in your interview, you have already solved the question, and interview gets to know that somehow, because interviewers are smart people, they will definitely get to know that you have already solved the question. Okay, so in that case, you have to make sure that you do not restrict yourself to that particular solution. Rather, you have to optimize and provide different approaches to solving those particular question. Okay, that is helpful during an interview. Yeah, as already said, don't stop after reaching a solution. Try to optimize it. That is very much recommended, right? Like in an interview, you begin with brute force. Let's say you get a problem A to solve in the interview. You know the solution for this, but even then, you know the most optimized solution that solves it in a big O of log n. But even then, you have to start from brute force. You have to first tell the interviewer that I can solve using this solution. This is my approach, and this will take a time complexity of big O of n log n. Now, either he will ask you to optimize it, or after a while, you can also say that, sir, I think I can optimize it and reduce its time complexity. Now, when you reduce its time complexity to big O of n, let's say, then it is a bonus point for you that you are able to optimize it from n log n to just n. Okay. Now, one major problem that people or usually students face, not just student, but anyone preparing for SDE interview face, even myself faced during the preparation, is that I prepared for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, then I reach a good level in coding. I solve the SDE sheet. I have good knowledge about all the topics now, right? But your interviews are like, let's say took a gap of 1 or 2 months, and your interviews are starting after 2 months. So that gap of 2 months will make you vanish your ability of solving problems. I mean, if you were able to solve a question in 30 minutes, now that same question is going to take you 50 minutes. You might be remembering the concepts, but when you apply it after a break, that is human tendency to forget, right? So to keep revising your own solution, what all question you solve, make your own text file or your own SDE sheet that I can recommend you. This SDE sheet would contain the solution to a particular problem and the different approaches of solving it. For example, I told you that you solve the question in way 1. Now you discovered way 2 and way 3. So in your own SDE sheet, make an own SDE sheet and write the question, write the way 1 solution, way 2 solution, way 3 solution, and their corresponding space and time complexity. And this you have to refer every Saturday, Sunday, or every weekend, or whenever you get time. This will make the concept lively in your brain and will definitely help you out during an interview. You don't have to very much memorize it or anything. You'll have naturally the concept in your brain when you keep revising it over a period of time. Okay, I'm asking you to maintain an SDE sheet because every time you see, let's say, you encounter the same question, and this time you say a way 4 and way 5. Last time you solved way 1, way 2, way 3. This time you saw way 4 and way 5. So that old way is gone. You learn two different new ways, right? Now there is a conflict. All the ways solve the question, solve the problem. But one once you keep revising the way 1, way 2, and way 3, it kind of sits in your brain and will definitely help you out in an interview, because solving a question normally on an editor, on lead code, on code forces, or anywhere, is a different ball game, and solving a question in a nervous environment, in a little, anxious environment in an interview, both are two different things. Because you would be more anxious during an interview or more horrified by the problem. Even the simplest of solution would be looking like a big task to do, right? So when you keep on revising onto those SDE sheet solutions of your own, you will develop a habit and you will not forget those questions, because usually people forget the solution that we have solved. So there, it doesn't go in vain. The practice doesn't go in vain, definitely. But yeah, that grasping capacity, that looking at the question and solving it at one instant, that gets a little break. So that helps you there when you keep on revising and keep on seeing your own solution. So this is one recommended thing that you should be doing. Now, participate in contest, the last point, very important. Solving in a non-time constrained environment on an editor like Lead Code, Code Forces, or anywhere. Code Forces definitely has a contest, then there is a timed environment, that is good. So you can participate on either on Lead Code contest, Code Forces host contest. These days, Geeks for Geeks is also hiring and hosting this hiring contest. Or you have a lot of platforms like Code Chef, Hacker Rank, Code Forces, At Coder, whatnot. Okay, you just have to pick one or two coding contest profiles, like websites, like let's say Code Forces or Lead Code or Code Chef, anything of your choice, and you have to keep participating at least once or twice in a week. What will this will help you with is that the first step towards any company's tech interview is online assessment, as I already told, right? Online assessment, OA, that we call in short. So this gives you a time constrained environment. While participating in contests like Code Forces or Code Chef, they give you a time constrained environment, like we have 1.5 hours or 2.5 hours and three questions to solve. So it makes you a habit of working efficiently in that time constrained environment. Because let's say it's a hiring challenge and it has 2.5 hours, so you will not panic there that okay, 2 hours have passed away, I haven't even solved one question properly. So this will give you a boost up in your confidence, as well as your practice will get increased while participating in time constrained environment. So this is very much recommended. Do not just practice on Lead Code. Rather, practice plus giving contests is very helpful. Yeah. So approaching a given problem in an interview. So as soon as you have been given a problem in an interview, in a technical interview specifically, you have to ask clarifying question, like the constraint. Like let's say the question is on array. You have to ask, can there be negative numbers? There are cases when the interviewer is going to give you a question, but the question would be having vague statements. I mean, it would be properly clear statement, because he wants you to ask those edge cases or those uh, hidden things that he has not told you. He wants to see like how great of a problem solver you are when you ask these edge cases. Like you listen to the question, let's say it's an array question, he gave you some array and he does not tell you what is the size of the array, what is the maximum array element could be, can it have negative elements, can there will be only elements from 1 to n or 0 to n or negative numbers, questions like this. So it is important to ask these clarifying questions in the starting of the question, like in the interview, or let's say when as soon as you're presented with a question, you have to look around the question and ask these clarifying questions in the beginning. Because once you start solving, and if you did not consider a particular case and you made the solution with respect to your own understanding, 15 minutes are lost in the interview. Your 15 crucial, precious 15 minutes are gone while solving a question that was not the correct problem that you were solving, because you did not ask clarifying question. So that's why do not make this mistake and ask clarifying question in the start. Now you have been given a question, you came up with the solution. Do not just directly start writing the solution and give it to the interviewer. Think out loud and discuss the approach with interviewer before writing the code. So you see a question, you take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to develop the logic. Now before writing the code, you tell the approach to the interviewer. Let's say you told some approach into the interviewer. The benefit of this is that the interviewer will assess your approach And if you are missing any edge cases, he will ask you questions around those edge cases, that how are you going to handle this case. Basically, he's trying to, if he's a good interviewer, he will definitely try to give you a hint around that edge case, and that is a particularly hint for you to cover those edge cases in your solution, because you have not already covered that. But let's say if you do not think out loud and do not discuss the approach with the interviewer before beginning, and you started to code directly, and let's say you are stuck somewhere while coding, the interviewer doesn't know your approach, he cannot help you in between the solution coding that you're doing. But if he knows the approach, and you are stuck somewhere, even you can ask for help, he can help you there. Like, he is there to help you itself. If you're stuck somewhere that you're not able to handle some particular case, he might give you hint around that. So interviewers are good people, they are there to help you out. So make them aware of your approach and your proceedings with your solution. Okay, that is important. Now, while writing the solution, let's say you have written the code, you discuss the approach and you have written the code. You have to write clean code and meaningful variable and function name. Because usually in college, what we do is that while solving questions on code forces or any coding platform, not just you, even I used to give variable name as X, Y, Z, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, and whatnot. Okay, so that is not expected in an interview. This you will definitely learn once you are in the industry. But you don't have to wait till you get into the industry. I'm telling you right now that do not use names like this. Even your own coding practice on contest, do not use it like this. Once, because if you practice IJKL in the contest, you're going to repeat the same thing in the interview. I have taken mock interviews, and people, even after writing meaningful variable names, when I ask them to write meaningful variable name, let's say you are having some usually we have count, let's say count int x is equals to 0, and every time we are running a loop, we are incrementing that x plus plus like that. Okay, so I asked that person in the interview to, instead of x, make it as a count of zeros. He made that name count of zeros, but while using it in the for loop, he started to use x plus plus. So that's why I'm saying, when you are participating in the coding contest itself, start to use meaningful variables. And let's say there is a method name or a function name that calculates the square root of some number. Then you can name it as square root, SQUARE capital ROOT. That is camel casing. And variable name, let's say you have a count, instead of naming it as x, name it as count. Okay, so like that, it's the variable name as well as the function name should be meaningful. Like, whenever somebody reads your code, he should understand that this is the name of the function, and it should be doing, without even looking at the logic of the function, he should be knowing that this is the name of the function, so it should be doing something around it. Like, square root means it definitely would be calculating the square root of some number. Okay, now always mention the space and time complexity of your solution. Like, even in the interview, once you are done with the approach, telling the approach, do tell your space and time complexity of your solution. That is very much recommended. So is this it for a technical interview at any top PVCs? Definitely not. I mean, this is a very crucial thing to do. DSA is a very crucial thing to do and is a must have during any technical interview in any top product company. But this is not the only thing to do. So what other things are required in a technical name? This is made in keeping in the mind that you are third year, fourth year students. So apart from DSA, a good DSA, the things that I told you before, apart from that, in addition to it, prepare CS fundamental subjects and topics like OOPS, DBMS, OS, CN, SQL queries, projects, and tech stack mentioned in your resume. Definitely. Now you see, if somebody has done a lot of DSA but no any kind of project in front end, back end, or machine learning or anything, then their resume would be a little empty because they haven't done the projects. And as a fresher, they definitely expect you one or two projects in the resume so that they can ask you certain questions around the project. But somebody doing excessive or aggressive DSA at times does not pay that much attention to project making or front end or development part. So there they miss out on these things, that they struggle. Either they copy project somewhere from somewhere, or do something, some workaround around that. But somebody who has done already front end or back end development, making project is a easier thing relatively for them to add in their resume. Now, profile is specific question based on the profile you are being hired for. As I already told, hiring process differs on the basis of MNCs or a startup. So, before interviewing for any product company, be it a startup, be it a MNC, you would look for those profile specific question. Let's say the company is specifically coming for a backend developer. In that case, you definitely need to know what are APIs, what are REST call, what are different HTTP, get, put, post, delete methods. How does internet work, like how does www.google.com, on clicking that link, how does things work in background, what is an API, how do we call it from the backend, front end, sorry. So these things are in that case very important. You cannot ignore them if the company is definitely coming for a specific profile like a backend profile or an Android developer. In that case, one who has done development in his college life, he definitely gets an edge in this case. Now, interview experience of a similar role from Glassdoor GFGs. Yeah. So as I already told, if a company is coming into your college and you do not know what kind of questions are being asked in the interview of that particular company, so you can go to Glassdoor or Geeks for Geeks archives. There you can see that for software developer role, what is the question that is recently getting asked in this company. For some X profile, what is the question? For SRE role, what is the question? See the latest or recent questions that are being asked for that particular profile, so that you do not, generic profile is fine till the time you do not know which company is coming. But once you know this company, Walmart is coming for backend engineer position, then you definitely go to these websites and make use of it, that what are the questions as in backend developer. Yeah, this is one additional thing that I would want you, since you are all third year or fourth year graduates. I mean, some of you might have passed in 2022. So these are few websites that might help you, like with job, like Naukri.com, LinkedIn.com, HackerRath, InstaHire, and Indeed. You can make a note of it. Like these websites are like recruiters are pretty much active there. You can make use of these. Like HackerEarth already almost every time has some hiring challenges going on. If you are not getting much opportunities due to the tier of your college, you can visit these places, make a good profile, and apply directly. For example, Hacker Earth has hiring challenges. If you are skilled enough in coding, just go to Hacker Earth, go to some hiring challenge and participate. You can once you have participated in the coding challenge, you can directly get an interview call, clear your interview, get the job. I got my first off campus job through Hacker. So do not make the tier of your college a liability. Okay, it doesn't matter which tier you are from. You have all the resources, you have all the internet, you have all the resources and these websites now. So the other thing would I would say that a lot of people do not know how to make a look worthy resume, an effective resume. So this is DD resume template on overleaf.com. Just search for DD overleaf. You will get the template and try to make a resume on it. It is written on latex. Once you look at it, you will get to know what is latex also. So these are things from my end that I would like you guys to know, since you definitely would be trying off campus or on campus and definitely would be needing the help of these resources. So this is something from my end. So, okay, I've been speaking a lot, so I am myself tired. Okay, let's wait for let's go to the last slide. So this is a little about me. That I am Ankur Keshawani, SG2, as Anaga already told you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn.com. Even if you do not know the link, you can just search for Ankur Keshanani. The first result would definitely be me. Okay, so you can definitely book a mentoring session with me on Career Board for an in-depth guidance regarding to placements and stuff. Okay, that was a lot of speaking from my end. I hope you guys are not asleep yet, or are you?
Yeah, guys, how was the, yeah, hope we enjoyed the session, and you guys have noted down the things what Ankur has suggested you guys. And like, he's the great mentor, guys, like, to guide you to break into the software development field. So the link is available in the chat box. You can apply for his mentorship. Like you can book a session with him. Yeah, he's happy to mentor you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would definitely love if you could comment one thing in the chat that you like the most, like out of all those things that I told you just now, just one thing that touched you or that you think
Yeah.
would be definitely very helpful in your job searching or your interview preparation. Just one thing, if you want to mention, you can paste it in the chat. I will definitely have a look at it. Thanks, Nikush. Thanks, Pramod.
Yeah, and we are open to take your questions, guys. You can drop it in the chat box, or it would be
Yeah.
great if you unmute yourself and ask. Yeah, would love to hear your voice as well.
Yeah, any questions around tech interviews or any doubt? If you still have it, do ask it right now.
Also, the feedback form is available in the chat box. Guys, do fill it out. Yeah, to get the certificates, you should fill the feedback form. So, anybody who has questions? So I saw one question, Ankur, like somebody is asking, he's from a tier 3 college, a question from Siddeshwar. I think you have answered his question.
Yeah, that was earlier.
Yeah,
Okay, if someone belongs to a tier 3 college, what should be the approach? This is the one, right?
yeah.
Approach would still remain the same. And can you be a little specific? Approach in terms of applying job or approach in terms of preparing for software engineering role, except
Siddeshwar,
DSA.
yeah,
Okay. Okay, we have more questions. Rishabh, I am in seventh semester. EC did more projects in MLCV. Does data science role needs networking OS? Rishabh, I think that would be very unlikely until or unless the company is from networking background. I mean, if the profile is for ML engineer or data science opening, that won't be asked much in my knowledge, networking or OS. This is like specifically for more generic software engineer role. Or let's say companies like Juniper Networks or Cisco, then you have to, prepare rigorously on computer networks because those are networking companies. So in that case, you should be knowing that. For experienced person, what else is required except DSA and system design? Okay, Jeevan, like for experienced person, like if you have some 3 years or plus experience, system design is a definitely design patterns, system design, and in that case, you would be getting hired for some specific role like back and front end. Having a knowledge around those concepts like front end, HTML, CSS, JavaScript questions around that would be helpful. And in backend, there would be definitely questions around backend technologies and the components that are being used. For example, you're working on Java Spring Boot, so questions around that are definitely expected in that case. Shahid, how much important does CGPA play? I'm in my third year and my CGPA is 9.5 plus. Would it be wise to focus less on it now and focus on interview? Definitely, yes, Shahid. I mean, CGPA is the only thing that helps you sit for the placement. Not it won't help you ace the interview. Rather, it will more enable you to, let's say Microsoft comes into your campus. Now, a lot of people have 7 plus CGPA. So it will keep a bar at 8 CGPA that only people with 8 CGPA or greater would be even able to apply for Microsoft. So in that case, you have 9.5 plus. So in that case, you won't be having any difficulty there. So I would definitely ask you to keep your CGPA aside now and properly focus on interview. And Hafiza is saying how much time, okay, does it take to prepare for an interview on an average? Okay. To prepare, I mean, it depends on person to person, but if you're preparing from scratch, like assume you have no knowledge of DSLGO, much knowledge on DSLGO and the computer fundamentals, at least it would require 3 to 4 months of rigorous effort, like 3 to 4 hours a day. Then you will be able to do it in 3 to 4 months, I would say. I got placed in Feb and in July company I got full time, but now the company is asking leave certification test and depending upon the score they will hire, otherwise they will throw. So is this happen good? Definitely not. No. This does not happen in a very reputed company, Abhinav. Currently, I'm in third year, so where should I focus, like studies or programming? Uh, you're in third year, placements are approaching. Pass your semester exams well, like that usually gets you can pass it like studying 2 3 days before the exam. I mean, if you can do that, awesome. And give a little more time to the things that I told you, like DSA and computer fundamentals. At least these things. I'm in third year, so where should I? Okay, this one is done. Sir, do backlogs affect the chances of getting hired during on campus? Yes, actually it does. Like Varun, I mean, I know somebody who's from Triple IT Guwahati, and he was not allowed to sit for the placements due to his backlogs. He is a real talent. I mean, recently got a second rank on Code Chef Long Challenge last month, this month itself. So placements to get affected due to backlogs. Have lesser CGPA but don't get backlogs. I mean, even lesser CGPA is it's fine if you are very much into. I know my colleagues, like in I not colleagues but college mates, who were having 6 pointer, 5 pointer, but they were pretty decent in DSA, 4 star, 5 star, like that on coach. So it does affects you sometimes, the CGPA. Should I need to go through system design preparing for SD1 role as a fresher in product based company? It depends. It depends on the company you're applying for. Usually, it doesn't get asked for SD like one. But if you are applying for some early age startup, they would actually be needing system design, like low level design or high level design. They might ask you. You cannot deny the fact that they won't ask you, because the thing is, once you join an early age startup, they want you to start coding from day one, and if you have a good understanding on system design, it will definitely help you out in the job role. So that gets us. But yeah, I don't think Google, Amazon, Walmart ask you system design for HD, so you're safe there. Having experience in game development, it's still possible to get jobs in others. Yes, definitely, it is possible. After all, you are a software engineer. You're making game, that is one another thing. But it doesn't restrict you to move to another, banking or retail or somewhere else. So yes, that is possible.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that is it for the questions. We are 5 minutes overdue as well. I have another call to catch now.
Okay. Great then. Thanks, Ankur, for
Yeah,
this great and wonderful session. And it was really so helpful. I think these guys have got so many inputs from you. Yeah.
I hope this was helpful.
Okay.
Okay, then let's wrap up for today.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Should I start learning Kubernetes? I think you wanted to say Kubernetes. I mean, in seventh sem, if you are focusing on placements, Kubernetes won't much help you there. But yeah, once you are placed somewhere in a good company, then definitely you can look out for Kubernetes and cloud platforms and Docker and stuff. Which is best, code chef, lead code, hacker rank? This is I will not decide. This is you will decide which is best for you. So you can also, one generic advice: do not jump on all the platforms. Choose one or two. Just stick to that. Okay, then I
Yeah.
think we are good for today. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Hanaga, for the session, and we'll see some next time. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely, I'm good. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.